So it's 9 o'clock. If we can try to wrap this up, we'd appreciate it.
Yep,
We've got Councilmember Shriver, Mr. McKeown, and Mr. O'Day are still in the queue.
I'm on the stack to call the question, so.
As I understand the motion, which is what I'm going to vote for, and if this is not correct, I'm not going to vote for it. The only thing the motion is asking staff to do is to study the price at which this property could be acquired. Since we've studied all the other things as part of our MOU agreement, which I think is a legitimate thing to do. I mean, we should be aware of that as we're in the negotiations.
So can we find out quickly if that is,
yes,
in fact, the motion?
That's a legitimate thing to do. I agree. It's one of the things that this might do, but the motion is to direct staff to explore all means of protecting Village Trailer Park and its residents, including possible acquisition. Price is only part of a possible acquisition. Clearly, I would hope that our city manager will initiate negotiation with the property owner, but our city attorney will explain to us what eminent domain would mean. Those would be part of what the motion would require.
Okay, well, I'm going to vote no on that. Then I'm going to make a substitute motion. But before I do that, I want to say that I have a strong agreement with Councilmember O'Connor's views on buying buildings in general. When I first ran for the council, actually, I mentioned that at several events, and people told me I was crazy because that would never work and so forth and so on. I think we give a lot of money to Community Corp, and maybe instead of buying, constructing new units, subject to various other rules, we should be considering buying buildings. I don't think there's anything wrong with Community Corp buying buildings and keeping people in their existing homes. I think myself it's preferable to building new buildings. So I'd like to sort of study that. If anybody else is interested in doing that, maybe that's a topic for another day. And I'm sorry, Richard, to go on. The substitute motion I'd like to make, if anybody's interested, is to just study the question of the appraisal value of this, sort of along the lines that Mr. Perry's grid showed, to just study the valuations at which the property might be able to be purchased.
I would second that. I imagine that involves conversation with the ownership group.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to see it come back at the first meeting in January.
So, fine with me.
And I'll support that. Mr. O'Day, did you want to add any comments? Ms. O'Connor?
Yes, I think that's a fair. You want to add that as a suggestion?
Has to include that.
Well, my suggestion was, if you're looking at buying it, then with that raises a possibility. You need to look at where the money would come from, what trade-offs you'd be making, what it would cost to operate and maintain it, what would be the ongoing revenue sources to operate it and maintain it.
Sure.
It's not in a vacuum.
Sure.
Just buy it.
May I summarize then to the maker and the seconder that would include all ramifications?
Sure. Or enough ramifications to get it back early in January, so we don't need to study it for 6 months.
Fair enough. Okay, I can support that. I'm not seeing anybody else in the queue. May we take a roll call vote?
Councilmember McKeown?
No.
Councilmember O'Day?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
No.
Councilmember Holbrook?
Abstain.
Councilmember O'Connor?
No.
Councilmember Shriver?
Yes.
Mayor Bloom?
Yes, that fails 3-3-0. 3-3-1, I'm sorry, yes.
I'd like to return to the main.
One abstention, 3 votes yes, and 3 votes no.
3 yes, 3 no, 1 abstention.
Does an abstention count as a yes for? No, it doesn't. I see.
No, we need 4 yes votes. We're at the main motion. And Ms. Stewart, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Shriver for the main motion?
No.
Councilmember O'Connor?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Councilmember Holbrook?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Day?
No.
Councilmember McKeown?
Yes.
Mayor Bloom?
No. That fails by a vote of 5-2. Councilmember?
So I'll try another one where we, yes, hurry up. I'm trying to think of what I could do to get the data that I think we would all like to see, that since nothing is going to happen, okay, let me put it this way, that as part of the ongoing MOU negotiations that the city staff is having, that they raise with the landowner the question of whether the landowner would like to sell at some price. Seeing no second, would anyone second that as a motion? So that the question of whether the landowner would like to sell and at what price be raised in the MOU discussions?
Second. Is there any further discussion?
With the related other factors. So if the landowner were to say, yes, okay, let me stay there.
Ms. Stewart, call the roll, please.
We can ask him. He's sitting there.
This is like speed dating. We're
Yes,
going to do this.
it's a good thing. I like it. I like it. Let's do it. Calling the roll.
Councilmember McCune?
No.
Councilmember O'Day?
Yes.
Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Davis?
No.
Councilmember Holbrook?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Connor?
No.
Councilmember Shriver?
Yes.
Mayor Bloom?
Yes, that passes by a vote of 4-3. And we'll move on to the next item. And I apologize
Make a statement for the record, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Davis will entertain that.
I'd like the record to show that my no vote there was because my intent tonight was to look at how we might purchase the property. And I think that this motion and other substitutes that were made looked for reasons why not to consider buying it.
Could I just ask one question to the city manager related to this? I assume that in any negotiations you are doing that you are following the city council's policy adopted over and over about looking out for the best interest of residents and renters?
Absolutely.
Thank you. You did, in other words, you didn't need special direction for that.
All right. If you're leaving the council chambers, if you could do so as quietly as possible. We still have a number of items on our agenda we need to get through. Thank you very much. Folks, could you, I don't mind if you want to have conversations, but I do need you to take them outside. We have a very heavy calendar still ahead of us. I apologize. Ms. Stewart, can you call the next item, please?